Welcome to Angels Changing Tires. I'm your host, Yonatan Chanuchi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Angels Changing Tires. And today, I have a really special guest and a beautiful, beautiful close friend of mine, Madelyn. Cecily, did I say it right?
You said it right. You said it right.
Okay, perfect. How are you, my love? How are you feeling today?
I am feeling good. Definitely a little bit nervous, to be honest, but excited. I have no idea what this conversation is going to bring, but I have a feeling it's going to be really good.
Beautiful, beautiful. So maybe as a start, you want to introduce yourself for those who hear you for the first time.
Okay, my name is Madelyn. What do you want me to say? I'm a yoga teacher. That's my first love is traditional Indian Hatha yoga. I've been basically traveling to all ends of the world that I can, spreading this yoga. I live in Hawaii at the moment. And yeah, I don't know.
How long have you been a yoga teacher now? I think it's a really long time. Actually, you always kind of practiced since you were more a kid, right? What was your journey with
Yeah.
that?
I've been practicing yoga since I was like 15 years old. So I'm 30 now. So that's 15 years. Um, I've been teaching for the last 8 years. Since I was 22, is when I got my training. Very much like consistently, not just a class a week or whatever. Like ever since I got my yoga teacher training, my 200-hour yoga's kind of taken over my entire life. And before that, it was always something that I turned to for, at first for just exercise, but then for more therapy and healing. And now it feels like I'm sharing that healing and that therapy with people.
In the form of yoga. That's how you show your healing, you mean?
Yeah. And through sound healing. That's the other
Yeah.
thing that I've definitely been tapping into over the last 2 years. Yeah.
How did you even started to know, like, I mean, at 15, it's, I guess, pretty rare for people to connect to yoga or spiritual practice. Or, okay, what was your connection there? Was it just like physical? Was it like spiritual? How was it at that age? And how did you even get to, you know that it's there?
So my first yoga class was with my older sister, Kelsey, and I definitely was going just because her and her friends were going, and I thought it was cool.
She's so cool. She's my older sister.
Yeah, I want to be just like her.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, and then I really also loved, I don't know what I loved about it. I don't think I knew at that point, but there was something that I just loved, and I just wanted to feel that way all the time. And then it wasn't really until I was 16 that after one of my best friends passed away, and I had a really hard time processing her death. And then I remember just being in a yoga class, and it just kind of like clicked, and it made sense to me. Like my emotional body, my physical body, and my spiritual body were connected, and I was able to feel these emotions that I hadn't really let myself feel. And honestly, from that point forward, so about like 16, 17, I knew like this was, I had to do something with this no matter what. This was my path, basically.
Yeah. What clicked there when you're saying it clicked?
It was during Shavasana. I just fully broke down without any barriers, without holding myself back. I think when Vicky passed away, a part of me really wanted to be strong for all my other friends and like
Mm,
hold space for them.
mm,
Um, and I didn't really hold that space for myself. And being on my mat in Shavasana after moving my body and twisting my body and releasing all this pain and this sadness that I was harboring, um, yeah, it was just this release. I don't know.
mm. And how do you
Yeah.
see that today? What do you think was moving in your energy body or physical, or what? I mean, if there is
Um,
something else.
no, I mean what I've noticed in a lot of my clients and my students and myself as well, but is that our emotional pain or our mental pain or instability, it always manifests itself in our body in
Mm,
one way or another. You know, whether that's tightness or an injury. In yoga, through breath, through intention, even through the words, I really believe in traditional Indian Sanskrit. You know, we did the same training. Like
yeah.
that Sanskrit, ooh, it is so powerful. It's like
Oh, yeah.
speaking a spell into existence. And like every time you do your vinyasa, you're saying, I bow to the remover of darkness so that I can rise again, my mind, my body, my spirit.
Mm,
Like,
mm, mm,
what?
mm, mm, mm.
It's so
Yeah,
powerful.
it is.
And I think every time that we're doing that, I mean, we're saying that, we're speaking it into existence. So we're releasing anything that would keep us from feeling that alignment.
Mm. Release anything that keeps us away from feeling alignment. So we're coming back
Mm-hmm.
to alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what I connect to yoga as well. That those are the things that we work, not just even if we work on the physical body, and some classes
Mm-hmm.
will do just physical body because that's I don't know what we've asked from, or that's the people that we feel like they can take it. We will always work on everything because the breath connects us to the moment and the sound
Mm-hmm.
change our reverberation from within,
Mm-hmm.
which is so crazy because if you think about it, like every atom is like everything is just vibrates, right? Every atom just vibrates in a certain way, and sound is a vibration. And if you just
Mm-hmm.
intentionally choosing certain sounds that activate something, like the whole combination of the sound, the breath, the movement, um, exactly, just brings to that alignment. Yeah. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I totally connect to that. I'm asking for a person that hears it for the first time because a lot of people ask me and they think, oh, yoga is just an exercise. They
Mm-hmm.
think we just like in the gym to get our body more flexible or strong or whatever. And the beauty of it is that whether you conscious or not conscious, it's gonna work on all your system.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty. Of course, if you're conscious, it would be far stronger because you really understand why you do what you do, and you can use also your mind to help you there. You guide your
Mm-hmm.
mind, like, okay, I'm gonna do this for example, deal with the grief of my friend or a heartbreak or whatever it is that we're going in our life. Yeah, I find it really, really beautiful. And
Yeah, it is beautiful.
yeah. And okay, so that happened around 17, you mentioned, right? And you kind of knew
Yeah.
that that's something you want to share, like that's your path.
Mm-hmm. In one way or another, but at that time to be how do I want to say this? I was definitely still in the matrix.
Mm,
Like I definitely was still kind of, under the influence of outside sources. I was young. I was still living at my parents' house, and I still believed like I had to have a quote unquote real job, and I
hmm
had to, get the house and the family and all the things. So I was always like, okay, yeah, like yoga could be a side project.
mm,
And I swear the universe won't let me make it be a side project. Like, no matter what I try to do, any other type of job or work that I find myself in, it turns into yoga in one way or another. And you know, I just got to a point a couple years ago, basically when I moved to Maui, that I accepted that. I was like, all right, universe, you're right. I'm doing it. Like, I'm throwing myself into this and I'm just trusting. And that's kind of what the last 3-4 years have been for me, is just completely putting my trust in the universe and knowing that this is my path.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you do that? I mean, why I'm asking? Because to
Mm-hmm.
me, it's one of the scariest thing ever.
It's
It's
terrifying.
terrifying, you know, like, because deep down we all know what we need to do and what life pushes us through. And
Mm-hmm.
like, that's probably gonna be the number one thing we resist the most, or the number one thing that we have all those thoughts, oh, I should not, I can't, it's not this, it's not that. Like, I think that the thing that we have all the excuses is exactly what life kind of pushes us to do. But it's
Yeah.
harder to just say it, you know, like, and trust. So made you, what helped you, you know?
Um, a couple of things. One is definitely the support of my students and my friends slash students slash clients. Like, words of affirmation is definitely my love language. So when I get that from my students and
Mm,
this positive feedback, it just makes me feel elated, and it makes me feel like I am doing exactly what I'm supposed to do. And even without the words, honestly, Jonathan, when I'm on my mat in front of a class, there's no other feeling like this. Like, it just it just feels like I'm standing in my purpose and I'm flowing in my purpose and I'm speaking in my purpose. And a part of it isn't even me. It's something speaking through me, you
mm,
know?
yeah.
Like, I am a conduit for spirit, or
Mm.
whatever you want to believe it is, to help heal the world. Is that too far of a stretch? I don't know. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I mean, I think, yeah, yeah, to your extent, to whatever people you can touch. And if you can touch the whole world, well, so be it, you know?
Yeah.
That's, I guess, if we dream small, like, we will never get to something. Like,
Yeah.
that's the intention behind it, you know? Like, I reckon that's what I hear from your words, at
Yeah.
least.
Yeah. I reckon as well.
Mm.
But I also also, like, yeah, I definitely want to pay homage to my students and my community. Shout out to every single one of them for showing up to the classes and for showing up on their mat for themselves, not just for me, but for themselves, and
Mm.
watching them grow. Like, oh my gosh, when I have a client that we see each other pretty consistently, you know, I have a couple clients that I've been seeing for 2 years or more, and to see their growth, not only physically, which was originally maybe some of their goals, like they go from, you know, in their uttanasana, in their forward fold, barely being able to get down to the ground, to having their full palms on the earth, astabandha, that hand bound to the ground. Like, not only that, but then seeing that, the physical opening, kind of mirror an emotional opening
Mm,
or a
mm, mm.
spiritual opening.
So
and
much.
and yeah, and then wanting to learn more, like, and just, yeah, it's just really inspiring, and it pushes me, and it makes me trust that this is what I'm supposed to do.
Mm,
um and then the other really big one, and I think this can be said for pretty much anyone trying to achieve any goal, is self-love, and loving myself and knowing that I am worthy of this path.
mm,
Knowing that, yeah, that if I just trust my intuition, if I follow my intuition rather than deny it because of something like fear or feelings of lack, but if I just choose love, I know that I'll be divinely guided. And I know that because I've been doing it for a while now. And I mean, of course, there's been times where I'm scared, or, you know, um, in a place not necessarily where I want to be, but I also know that I needed to be there to learn some kind of lesson. So just allowing that trust to be the guide, even in the darkest times,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the trust, the trust, the trust, the trust. I really hear you for
Trust,
that.
trust,
Yeah.
trust. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big one. And it is scary. It's really scary to go against what we are taught, what society has led us to believe, you know, and I know a lot of people that are still in that society, in that matrix, and it works for them and they're happy and they're comfortable and that's fine. And I have no judgment towards them. I said nothing
Mm.
but love and compassion. But for me, I don't want to be comfortable. I don't ever want to be comfortable. I want to be constantly expanding and growing through my comfort zone.
Wow. And I
Yeah.
guess that explains some things for me because, well, I would say how I perceive you as a teacher or what I'm seeing from this side. You're
Mm-hmm.
such a fucking doer. You're such a fucking doer. Like
Thank you.
you do this, that. I constantly see there is class. As you said, you finished your training or whatever. Even before the training, I'm sure you did for friends some things, but let's leave that on the side. You finish your training, as you're saying, you not like teach one class here, one class there. You're going fucking full way in, like every day having classes. Then I remember, I'll tell you a story. So me, me and Madeline, I call her Madeline. Okay. So me and Madeline, we met in India in Rishikesh, and like was really instant kind of connection. We really got close, and I don't know, like was really magical kind of. And I was just starting to get into yoga and to practice it, and I saw how many changes, exactly like what she said about her clients or students, that something in their physical change and then something in their emotions change, and they help them to release traumas. That's exactly what I was experiencing in India. And then I felt the call. I said, yeah, okay, I want to share that. I want to teach that. I want to learn more. And yeah, and then we met, like she told me, I'm doing in Thailand, I'm gonna be an assistant for my teacher of my yoga teacher training. Come over and do the teacher training with me. And I was like, wow, actually amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And we did it, and it was so intense and amazing and sad and happy and everything together. So many
Mhm.
emotions that move in. And a week after the training, COVID hits. Pretty much a week or two after. So me, I'm finishing the course. I'm all so excited. I'm coming back to New Zealand, was like coming back here after a year I haven't been here, and having now I'm like, yeah, I want to try to settle here and be here. And I was also enthusiastic to start to teach yoga. And a
Mhm.
week after I'm arriving here, boom, COVID hits. And then I'm straight
Mm.
like, okay, I will wait. Yeah, it's COVID and everything. While I'm there waiting for something to happen, Madeline already opened Facebook, and it was before was Zoom was a thing and online classes were a thing. It was like just starting in COVID. And she's already opening a group on Facebook, and I think you had everyday class or
Mhm.
something like everyday class.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work, and you see her laughing, and sometimes like going and checking the camera and Facebook. And I remember you told me your phone was like just getting crazy, you needed to buy a new phone or like to restart it every time, and really really crazy. And to me it was such an example of there is no excuses. There are
Mm.
no excuses. If you want to do something in your life, just go ahead and do it, and you are the only one who stops yourself from doing it.
Amen.
And it's very inspiring, and you always like that. Then you did your retreat and everything. So I want to ask you, is it something
Mhm.
that you were always like that, such a doer, or is it something that you learned, or what's your journey with that? What helps you be so goal oriented and a doer, because I think the doing part is what separates most people from their dreams. A lot of people can think about and imagine, but actually doing the work, that's very hard. It to face a lot of fears and hear no many times.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
What's
that
your
was a
what
challenge.
tell me what's your journey with that?
I'm trying to like think back before my yoga days if I was like this. I mean, yeah, I guess I was. I was like selling stuff on the playground, trying to raise money for my band and stuff. So yeah, I guess I have always been a doer, but I I do think I owe a lot of this push mentality to traveling and like and to
Mm,
my parents for instilling travel in me. I'm very fortunate to have been able to travel a lot as a kid and just
mm,
seeing that there was more than just like home base and knowing that kind of no matter what I do in the future that travel had to be a part of it. Um,
mm,
and when you're traveling, you kind of have to be a doer. You kind of have to go out of, I mean, like I said earlier, expand your comfort zone and go create conversations with people that you've never seen before, maybe even like a brand new culture or a language that you've never heard before. But you kind of have to, otherwise you get, and I have before, you get kind of stuck in yourself, and then the fear and the anxiety start to creep in. So for me, it's like the doing kind of mm, overcomes that. I don't want to say it pushes it back because I think it's
mm,
important to feel fear and anxiety um, at certain points in your life because sometimes that can be a sign from your nervous system telling you that something isn't serving you anymore or that it's time to make a change. Um, but yeah, sorry, I digress. I think yeah, it's just the thing that I said earlier, which is just I don't want to be comfortable. I want to just always be expanding.
mm,
And for me, that works. And I never want to push that on anyone else because I know that that's terrifying to some.
mm,
But I love it. I think I get high from it sometimes. Like, woo, rocking up to a new country with my backpack. Like, okay, I don't know one single thing about this place, but I want to know. And
mm.
not only that, but I want to teach yoga here. And I want to like put some roots down with yoga here and maybe inspire someone to keep spreading that. They say like yoga is like um, a candle and everyone has a candle and I'm just giving a little bit of my fire to your candle and then you can go give it to here and here and here and no one's ever depleting any of their light but we're spreading it worldwide.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were
Does that answer
always
your
with,
question?
I guess. I mean, it sounds like you always had that mindset
Yeah, I guess so. I mean,
of wanting to stay out of the comfort zone, kind of.
yeah, and just wanting to explore. I think that's one thing I'm really happy with in myself is that I've never gone away from my inner child. Like that
Cool.
Lila is so alive in me and it always has been. I mean, yeah, I'm always playing and exploring. That's a big one, exploring and looking at the world with eyes of wonder. And that's something that I really, really love about myself.
Always you had that, you reckon, you
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mm. And what
Yeah.
about like, did you face any like major challenges by sharing the yoga or just in general? Like, I'm curious how you,
Mm.
personally, you dealing with life, in times where everything is just collapsing. You're in fucking rock bottom, and now you need to do something. Like, how do you deal with that?
Okay, so you're asking about a time when I've been at rock bottom?
Yeah, I mean, why? Because so far we speak about like things, and it seems like you had it really embedded within you, which are beautiful and amazing tools. So either you use
Hmm.
those tools or either you use something else. Like, how do you behave when things go? Shit
wrong.
comes up, you know, shit comes up.
The
What you
first
doing
thing I
there?
do, the first thing I do is cry. That is my immediate response always,
Well, but
which
give
I
us an
use.
example, a story, if you want to,
Okay, okay.
so people
I'll
can
give you an
relate.
example.
So people can relate, and me too.
Okay, you want a relatable story. I have some
If you
pretty
want to share,
crazy
if you want to
stories.
share, only if you want to share.
No, no, I definitely do. I definitely do. I think one story that I'm feeling a little called to share is something pretty insane that happened to me in India, actually, in Rishikesh. Um, and it came from me just being as like open as I possibly can, which is again something I really love about myself, but is something that gets me into trouble sometimes.
Mm,
Um, and just trusting the wrong people. Um, I went to like a yoga retreat in the hills of Rishikesh, and it was awesome. And then the guy that was running the space came up to me and asked me if I would want to run retreats there, which seemed too good to be true, which, you know, hindsight's 2020. But I was so excited and I was like, oh, spirit led me here. I'm supposed to be here. I'm gonna run all these retreats. I'm gonna help this person like expand as well as my
Ah.
expansion. And that was not his intention at all. Like it turned pretty dark. I was basically being like held there. Wasn't allowed to leave. It got really uncomfortable. I had to like climb to a mountain to get Wi-Fi with my phone to tell my friend like, please come get me. Like this is getting really scary. And they came and they rescued me. And um, yeah, the person that was like keeping me, I guess we'll say, sent me a message that said like, please bring the princess back to her castle. So he didn't even like have an understanding that what he was doing was wrong.
But what
Um,
do you mean he kept you there? Like he kept you locked someone? But what happened?
yeah, well, so it was like far up in the hills of Rishikesh. So it's like this windy road that you really can't get to unless you have a car. And I didn't have a car. And I would ask him to leave, and he would just point blank say no and tell me like I'm not allowed to leave. And
Mm,
um, yeah, it just got a little weird. But the point being, it was something kind of quote unquote negative that happened because I was in this flowy state thinking that everything was beautiful and wonderful when the reality is as much light as there is in this universe, there's also as much darkness. And the yin and the yang is such a real thing. And that goes all the way down to the definition of hatha, ha and ta, sun and moon, light and dark. It's all about that balance and navigating that balance. But when that happened to me, um, after the shock kind of wore off, I think I stayed with my dear friend Susanna in her apartment in Rishikesh, like in the city of Rishikesh, and I just cried for days.
mm,
And it wasn't even that anything really happened to me, but it was just more. I was really disappointed in myself and like blaming myself for being too open, I
mm,
guess.
mm,
Um, which I learned a big lesson in that situation. And unfortunately, that has kind of, not unfortunately, I want to choose a different way of saying that. That has helped me learn how to set boundaries, especially meeting new people, especially men in cultures that I am not a part of. And like, there's a big cultural difference in how men and women treat each other.
mm.
Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Um, but maybe like a less extreme example would be like going through a breakup.
Exactly. I
Um,
was just about to ask about the breakup. Crazy. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that would be probably more relatable to some people. Um, yeah, I had a pretty rough breakup when I first got to Maui, actually, and it really it really messed me up. It kind of like stripped away all the self-love that I had worked so hard to
Mm,
get. I kind of I think I put just all my worth into this person and into our relationship, and it just, yeah, it all got taken away. And it was kind of, I went through a major depression. And thank God for yoga. Thank God for yoga. Yoga was like my saving grace, because even I would show up to my classes kind of this morning, before we started, and you were like, just show up as your authentic self. Like if you woke up having a bad day, act like you had a bad day.
mm,
And
mm, mm,
that,
mm, mm, mm.
yeah, and I would, that's how I would teach my classes. I would cry in my yoga classes, like walk into the studio, people would ask me how I was. Immediately, that's a trigger, and I would start crying, and I would just say, we're gonna flow. I'm gonna flow through my pain, and I hope that like resonates with you guys. And 9 out of 10 times it did.
Mm.
We're a collective. We're all feeling something on the same energetic level. So yeah, because I found in the past when I was teaching in Denver and I was having a bad day, and I would just kind of be like, push it down, push it down, push it down, Madelyn. You need to be this like hyped up yoga teacher. I was teaching a deep house vinyasa, which is
Deep
so
house
not who I
vinyasa.
am. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. We had a live
Yeah,
DJ and there were lights, but it just wasn't who I
yeah,
am.
yeah, yeah.
But I would like force myself into the character of like, okay, everybody, let's flow, la la la, and they
Mm.
weren't my best classes. Like no one
Yeah.
complained, but I didn't feel good because I wasn't showing up as my authentic self.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
definitely showing up, moving forward, showing up as my authentic self, no matter what, even if that's like a depressed person that's just been laying on the couch all day
Mm, mm.
until my class came up. Um, yeah, I'd say that's how I dealt with it. And a lot of times I would start by feeling this like tight ball of sadness and anxiety and unworthiness and all these things, but I would usually set the intention. I would say during that time, during that breakup, my intention was so often either gratitude, krit ajna, gratitude for that pain, like um, for the darkness that I was sitting in, because it would allow me to really appreciate the light that I knew was coming eventually.
Mm.
Or Atma Prema, which is unconditional self love. And oftentimes, I always start each class by setting that intention with my students and offering them to set any intention that they want. And I just keep saying these words throughout the flow. And, by the end, I always feel just a little bit better, always.
Mm.
So,
From
yeah,
something I'm hearing from you, thanks for sharing, by the way.
thank you.
And I
Thank you
think
for asking.
something I feel that's alive here. There was no shame in that
No.
experience. It's like that's what I am. That's what it is. That's what I'm showing up. Like, and I feel it's such a big step for healing. Like, there is no shame. We all
Mhm.
feel fucking shitty at times. We all feel lost. We all lose it. And I think just that journey from being that teacher, like if you said before, we talk about just teaching now, but like that was the example. If before it was like, yeah, I need to push through and be this nice and energetic and what, now you're like, I'm gonna just show up as life flows through me at this very moment.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna try to
Mhm.
be something that I'm not.
Yeah, and like as a teacher or as someone that is as a healer, I think I want to use that word instead. It's kind of our duty to do that, to be as real and as authentic, to, you know, um, I don't want to say give permission. What's the word I want to say? But allow our students or our friends or whoever it is that's coming to us for healing to know that it's okay to feel
Mm,
that
mm,
way.
definitely.
Like, you don't have to always be okay. And
Exactly, exactly.
And so if your teacher or your healer or the person that you're coming to with your problems isn't okay, I think it makes you, at least for me, it makes me feel more comfortable expressing those emotions.
Yeah, I
And
definitely agree. I do
mm-hmm,
want to bring a point and wondering what you think about that. I think it's to an extent because, for example, let's say if I do a workshop, like in that workshop, I'm holding the space. I need to be a pillar there. So I'm not gonna pretend as if I'm like, let's say I am going through a time. I'm not gonna put just a happy smiley face or whatever. I'm gonna
mm-hmm.
bring me, but to a point where I still can hold myself with that, and not that I need that I'm in a breakdown kind of. That's what I think. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it also comes back, at least for me, I'll say, speaking from my point of view, of the idea that like when I am teaching or playing my bowls, I'm a conduit. So holding space for the light to come through me,
Mm, mm,
you
mm.
know,
So you're just a
not
channel.
of,
It's not really you that doing that.
I don't know,
What do you
maybe,
think?
yes.
What do you
I,
think?
I, I go back and forth, honestly.
Uh-huh.
There's times like, oh my God, this weekend, whoo, it was crazy, the sound healing we did, and I felt it going through me. Like I was singing the mantras and it was like someone was singing through me. And I've had this experience a few times. But then there's other times that I'm creating that flow and it is me. So I think it's a sacred dance, you know, it's
Mm,
that
mm, mm, mm,
shashumna.
mm, 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 mm,
Meow,
mm.
meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
It's we're doing it together. It's spirit and me.
Uh-huh.
Ooh, I'm so glad you asked that question because I've never come to a conclusion of that, but I
Yeah.
really like that.
Mm. That's
Thanks for
interesting. Yeah,
that.
it is. It is. It's a point. It's a point to think about. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, yeah. Because there's also times where I'll say something in a yoga class that I have no idea where it comes
Mm,
from,
mm-hmm.
and then I'll like look around like what the hell just happened? Okay, just keep going, whatever. And then after my class I'll look it up and it's true or it's valid. And then
Mm.
I'm like, okay, that was spirit or Shiva or
Whatever,
whatever.
whatever you want to know. Yeah, the name doesn't
Yeah,
matter. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
exactly. Yeah, it comes again to that trust. It comes again to
Mm,
that trust. You trust,
mm-hmm.
you trust, you trust. Lately I had a few interviews where just, and it was all women that were repeating that, their way to find like that grace and that they feel like they're followed and being on their purpose is through that trust, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What I'm trying to ask and bring maybe to discussion more to ask is like, do you think, is it something that is easier for women to do than for men?
Mm,
Why I'm asking that, because I look at myself and I look at like other people that I'm talking with in the podcast and outside as well. And yeah, when I had those discussions and I hear that trust, so I'm trusting, but deep inside of me, there is this abandonment of I need to do everything in my life. I need to be independent. I need to create everything. And why would I use the help of something else, kind of, because it even feels to me egoistic to think that I need to use that. I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like give that help to someone that needs it.
mm,
And in the last podcast, like in the interview, what we got into a conclusion is that I said that I think that's exactly my ego, because how me, like little Jonathan, think that I can even do something by myself without that grace flowing through me, without that creator, name it whatever the fuck you want to name it. It doesn't really matter.
yeah.
Do you think that women trust more? What do you think? Do you think there is a connection, even man woman, in that, or it's just
I
coincidence that that
mean,
was my conversations with people?
No, I don't think there's any such thing as a coincidence. But but do women trust more than men? I think if you look at it from like a hatha perspective, which is how I look at everything, I think yes, because trust could be equated
The
to the heart
feminine,
and
yeah.
the emotion, whereas masculine is more um, thought and mind. And one of the, I think, hmm, okay. One of the things that men typically have a better grasp on than women, and I want to say this is a very general statement, but again,
Yeah,
going back to
yes,
Hatha,
yes, yeah, exactly.
we're all the same, we are all one, blah, 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 but is that men have a bit of a better grasp on discernment,
Mm.
and being able to choose between things. And I think for me, it's like if I have two things, making that choice like just feels so scary and big. So I just trust.
Mm.
I just throw myself into
Ah,
it.
I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I'm seeing, yeah, with like women that I'm connected romantically and stuff. A lot of the times I could feel that something that was hard for them is to choose. And for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's like I'm like, just let me choose, like I'm very easy. I'll take that. Now you're saying so that's why there is the trust comes there. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. I know it can even like go down to something as simple as choosing what to eat, like
Oh
it's
yeah,
even
yeah.
the
This is
old
comedy.
go,
It's
which
comedy.
restaurant do you
This
want?
is
Yeah, but it's
comedy.
real.
It's real. It's real. That's what I'm saying. It's comedy because it's real. Like you're with your partner, and like how many times it happened. What do you? I don't know. Whatever you want. Okay, so I'm making. I'm making dal. No, we ate dal yesterday. Okay, so what do you want? I don't know. Whatever you want.
Exactly, but it's like
So
I
many times.
trust. I trust that he'll choose the right thing.
So funny. I also try to think about it from a even like because I like to compare a lot of things in life to sexual interactions as well because I feel that that's like one of the lowest points if we look at it energetically, and
Mm-hmm.
well, I said something I'm not necessarily agreeing on. It's low just in the sense that it's very physical. It is
Yeah,
very elevated, but it's just
yeah,
very physical.
it's the
And if we
chakras.
just look at a man or a woman in a sexual interaction, so the woman is being penetrated
Mm-hmm.
by the man. There is a lot of trust that needs to happen in that action. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
trust
Mm-hmm.
that he will be attuned, that he will listen, that all of those things needs to be there. And I think it's so when something is embedded in our biology, it obviously affects how we think and how we see life. And I
Absolutely.
feel, yeah, maybe men are more, there is more that fire of initiation and discernment, like we know how to,
Mm-hmm.
because we need to take action, we need to go, we penetrate life
Mm-hmm.
more. I mean, and at the same time, we have both. I really feel very strongly how we have, whether you are a man or a woman, we have masculine and feminine. And I feel actually the more we come to balance within it, that you are not more than a man than you are a woman. It doesn't matter what role you play in society or what you prefer to be, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
in your job, whether it's in your family, whether it's with your relationship, that's preference. But between you and yourself, you merged so strongly both, so you kind of can enjoy everything that life has to offer. You're not entitled or limited or yeah, just can't experience life in a certain way. You can experience the
Mm-hmm.
wholeness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I guess maybe that comes a lot to my conscious mind lately, like that trust to build more of those feminine traits and try something different. If my normal way of engaging with life is like that masculine, I'm gonna choose, I'm gonna do. It's me, me, me,
Mhm.
doing, like coming from within, outside, from within, outside. No, receive. Do it other
Yeah.
way around now. Now come from outside
Mm.
inward, outside inward, outside inward.
Mm. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. I think I need to flip it and do the opposite as well.
Of the masculine, you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely.
But you're so initiative. You wanted the retreat, you do the retreat. By the way, you should share a bit about what you did there because we haven't even spoke about it before. But like, you did your retreat in South America and you decide to do that and then teaching here. I see you doing it. No?
I guess, like, yeah, thank you for that. Thank you for that recognition. Because maybe sometimes I just need to, you know, hear it. Because I do,
Well, but that's
I
just
do
in your
think I'm
work
more,
actually, because
yeah,
work is just one
mm,
aspect in life. Yeah.
mm, yeah, yeah. Good point. Very good point. But I do, I just think it's like a constant. I don't want to say battle. I want to say a constant dance. Like just trying to figure out when the masculine and when the feminine need to come into play for myself and
Oh,
like
oh, oh, this is gold, what you just said. It's not about
yeah.
identifying with something, it's about what the situation requires or what life wants from me
Hmm.
right now to play with what.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
What's your take on like relationship or sexuality and what how did it change to you since let's say you really dived into yoga and more conscious like what if you want to share?
Yeah. I don't really know how to answer that. I think a big thing that I've released since I've been doing it all comes back to self-love. Like since I really have decided to love myself and know my worth and not allow energies into my temple that are not worthy. I think I've released a lot of shame. I've released a lot of guilt. Um, I'm not like blaming my upbringing or my parents, but I was raised Catholic, and so there was always a lot of
Mm,
guilt
mm,
instilled. And it took me a long time to kind of shed that. A long time. It still kind of peeks through, to be honest, but I've worked really hard on not feeling shame about my sexuality or my needs or my desires, but rather just giving myself what I want because I think also, sexuality and sensuality is sacred and it's it's there. It's not something that we should make taboo. It's not something that we should deny. And yeah, just like I'm very expressive in my sexuality. You can talk to any of my friends. I have a dirty mind, I think is what they would say. And I used to really like shut that down. I used to really like because it wasn't ladylike and it wasn't appropriate. And I mean, sure, there's sometimes things that I say that I'm like, okay, Madelyn, reel it in. You didn't need to really say that. But at the same time, like if I I feel as a woman, especially, I think a lot of women will relate to this. Like we're told to be small and we're told to be quiet and we're told to like take what we're gonna get and find a man that's gonna do all these things for us. And I just kind of was like, no, no, I love myself. I choose myself. I'm doing this for myself. Um, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I go off on tangents a little bit.
yeah, we went to a tangent, yeah, a bit. No, but you touched a point, like I think that shame, well, I think everyone, regardless to how they grew up, have that shame. Let's pay, especially you saying grew up as a Catholic, I guess it's even more present in a
Yeah.
way. And I think I see a certain thread in your journey.
Mm.
That's like it's that self-love, but I was about to ask you, okay, what allowed you to go through towards self-love. And I see that what allowed you to go towards self-love is letting go of the shame and guilt.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
you are expressing, you're talking about that. You see it as sacred. Doesn't matter if anyone else doesn't see it as sacred. You're talking about that. You're expressing
Mhm.
it. You live in accord in like, to me, it's very healthy. Very healthy.
Yeah.
That's what I think as well. Like that it's sacred. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We all been taught that it's something to be ashamed of.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying that we all should just walk around naked and touch ourselves 24 hours just because we can and want to, and it's nice. Like, that's not what I'm
Mhm.
saying. No, I'm mentioning that as well because I wrote one post about masturbation
Mhm.
or self-pleasuring. And people thought that that's what I meant. Like, let's just walk around and masturbate all the. No, so that's not what I mean.
Let me clarify.
Let me clarify. Yeah, I just think that it's something so deeply rooted in our being that there is shame in feeling pleasure. There is shame in our body. There is shame
Mhm.
in sexuality, in sensuality. And I think even for women more than men, that's for sure. Um,
Mhm.
at least in Western society. So, yeah, like at least between ourselves, like to drop it down and talk about that, I think triggering people is a good thing. It's a good thing. It means something is moving there. If
Mhm.
someone is triggered, we're gonna have an interesting talks. It means that something inside them pushes them towards it. It creates an uncomfort. Why is it so
Mhm.
uncomfortable for you to hear that I'm sexually free and I'm happy to speak about it? Oh, that's interesting. We can have a talk about
Mhm.
that. So
Totally.
yeah, releasing the shame and guilt, I feel from what I'm hearing from your words, really help you to tap into that self-love. Can you feel it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think another thing that just kind of came up was the biggest thing was always thinking that God is watching. Like that was always the biggest thing
Wow.
being Catholic was like God was watching. So like if I was having sex, God was watching and judging me and being like, "Oh no,
Wow.
you're bad. You shouldn't do
Wow.
that."
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
But then when I really went on this self-love journey, I there's like not a separation between me and God. So it's not like someone's watching me, but it's more like I I don't know. I'm experiencing it as God, you know?
The act itself, like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Pleasure, pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And do you
Yeah,
feel that that was maybe one of that mindset of that change of mindset? That's maybe was one of the things that help you let go of shame and guilt in general in
yeah,
every aspect of life?
yeah. I think so.
Okay, Opa, we're touching a point. Interesting. Yeah,
Opa!
because obviously, like my next question would be, okay, so if letting go of shame and guilt help you find self-love, what help you let go of shame and guilt? And like, yeah, so you're saying, yes, yeah, it's like you seem instead of, oh, that's amazing. Instead of like seeing God as like this outside thing of you that's looking from above and looking for every shit that you're doing and write it in his little diary, Madeline is going to hell, you know? It's like, no, he's from within. If God is everything, or creator, universe, then it's with me in those moments of pleasure, like with the beauty of it, like it's
Mm-hmm.
not something from a, oh, that's juicy. That's nice.
It's juicy. I like that. Yeah, yeah. And also I have to say, like, I've never had that thought until this conversation. So like,
Mm,
this conversation was a catalyst for that realization or that remembrance. Honestly, is what it is because all the knowledge is already there. We just have to tap
yeah,
back into it.
beautiful,
Yeah. So thank you
beautiful.
for being that catalyst for
Mm,
that.
of course, of course. And what else about like maybe what's with something changing your relationships, like since you become more conscious and stuff, like do you conduct your relationships differently or are you more flowing with that, and how is it?
Um, I think yeah, I definitely feel like there's been a shift in myself and in the like dynamic that I want to be in a relationship or a partnership. And um it's non-attachment.
Mm,
So for me, aparigraha, it's a part of the eight limbs of hatha of Ashtanga yoga, which is a part of hatha yoga. And I think for the longest time, I mean, honestly, up until like the last year and a half, um, I just would attach to people like you can see my hand it's going meow and like grabbing and like this is mine now. This is
mm,
mine.
mm, 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 mm.
I want this all the time. This is guaranteed mine. This is going to be mine tomorrow. This is going to be mine forever. And really realizing that like nothing is mine. No one is mine. Like nothing is guaranteed. So just rather than living in this like mm, this anxiety and ultimately it's like an idea of lack because you're like I can't live if that person goes away, like everything's going to fall apart if that person goes away. So you're not really being present because you're just constantly, I
Mm.
shouldn't say you, this is how I was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um
yeah.
and just rather living in this aparigraha, living in non-attachment, like I have a connection with someone. I enjoy this connection. I enjoy this love, but I have no expectation for where it's going to go. I have no,
But is it?
um,
Is it? Do you really have no expectation?
in this moment where I'm at, yes,
Wow.
I do. Yeah. Like, of course, there's like things creeping back in sometimes that are like, oh, but is this the person, Madelyn? Like, are you sure? And I'm like, but it doesn't have to. I don't have to know. I don't need to know. All I know is that I enjoy the connection that I'm having. You know,
Mm.
and especially in this last backpacking trip that I just did in Central America and in Colombia, I experienced the universe gave me a lot of opportunity to practice non-attachment. Just like meeting people that you have such deep, powerful, soulful, sensual connection with, and then you go your separate ways and you might never see each other again. And you might see each other again, but you
Mm.
might never see each other again. And just feeling okay with that and not being attached or having like a cord with that person, you know?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah.
No, I'm
um,
asking because like I agree with everything you're saying on a theory level, but I feel that,
yeah,
literally practicing it well is fucking hard.
yeah. It's fucking hard, dude. It's definitely hard. This is so hard. That's why I said the universe gave me multiple times to practice
Uh-huh.
this because
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it wasn't like right away. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah, bye. I'll never see you again. But like, I was like, but wait, what if we're supposed to meet again? And what if this is supposed to happen? But then I realized that by having those thoughts, it was keeping me from being present with my travels. So like rather than being in this new beautiful place that I was and like experiencing all the wonders that it had to show me, I was thinking about someone else and I was thinking about wishing like, oh, I wish that he was here with me. I wish that we were doing this. And really just like, yeah, it just takes you out of the present. And so I just wanted to be more present. And so I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to explain how. I just
No, you
choose
know, you
myself.
know. You chose
Yeah,
yourself.
choose myself. Yeah, yeah. But it's not easy, for sure. And it's not linear either. Just as any healing
Yeah,
journey
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
linear.
But was it
But
something specific you did, like that you practiced, that you said, that you to allow you to choose yourself and get away from those thoughts
um
or that attachment or that expectation? Because we all do it. We,
yeah, yeah. Like anything in particular. I, I think it was going back and reading my journal. So I journal pretty avidly And just reading my journal and realizing how much of my journal is taken up by these men, and like and just being like, where am I in this? Like reading it and being like, well, I'm talking about him, and I'm talking about like how I hope this with us, and but like, what do I really want? Like, what do I really need? So
Wow.
yeah, kind of reflecting on the stories that I was writing and wanting to rewrite those stories, I guess, in the
Wow.
future. Yeah.
Wow, it's like to change that perspective from giving the power or the space for the other person to you, to what's happening inside of you and what you actually want.
Mm-hmm. And also
Okay.
another thing is um, experiencing the attachment on the other end, and like feeling almost like trapped by someone, or feeling like,
Yeah.
and knowing that they're not doing it intentionally, but just because that's like what it's always been to be in a relationship, and feeling like I couldn't express certain parts of myself or whatever, and just kind of knowing that I don't ever want to do that again. Like I really, really love myself, and I really love the person that I am, and I don't ever want to lose that into another person. And for me, that is attachment, that's a parigraha.
Mm.
So yeah.
Wow. I love that. It's beautiful. And that's the beauty of life, right? We all gonna go through those spinning doors, and we're gonna be in the same position of maybe what we created a year or two before. And back then we were like, how this person can't get me? Like I want him so much. And yet now you're like, whoa, it's so fucking creepy, it's so attaching.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So you get to have like the compassion first and the understanding of what they're going through, and the like reality check of what you actually want
Mm-hmm.
in your
Yeah,
life. Yeah,
totally.
this is a topic I'm definitely alive in me. Very, because when I'm falling in love, I'm like, I'm just, I'm so there, like, and then like if at some point it doesn't meet with the other person, then I'm starting to lose my power. I'm not in my power anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving so much power
Mm-hmm.
to the other person. I think about them all the time. I'm just constantly, yeah, just exactly doing that perspective of the outside. It's about them and it's not about me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And just this week it kind of also clicked, and I realized that I need to put me first. That it's just another, basically, it's just another lesson of me to claim my power. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. To claim my power, to be there for me and not for the other person, like to shift that perspective. So, yeah, thank you for sharing
Mm-hmm.
that. Yeah, it really resonates with me a lot.
Yeah. Have you read the book Celestine Prophecy?
I did. Yeah. But I haven't read the whole thing actually. I had read parts of it.
What? So you
Yeah.
don't even know the end of the story?
No, 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 no. Because
Oh
it's a
my
book
lord.
that I found in one of my house in my family in Israel when I went to
Mm-hmm.
visit family, and then I needed to leave within a week. So I kind of
Mm.
just started, and then I haven't finished it, and kept on traveling.
Okay, well, you should at one point, if it feels in the flow, definitely go back to that book,
Yeah.
because it I mean, yeah, it was such a huge part of my spiritual journey, but there's one chapter that talks about relationships, and it talks about that a lot of people walk around the world as if they're a half circle, and they're just looking for the other half to make one circle. And the prophecy is to be your own circle, and to find someone else that is their own circle, and to just coexist next to each other.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
which I always kind of have been able to like come back to that picture. I'm definitely like a very photo oriented kind of person,
Mm-hmm.
so I've always been able to come back to that. Like if I am starting to have feelings for someone, or starting to date someone, I'm like, well, am I like this full circle right now, or do I have pieces missing that I think this person is going to fulfill? Because if
And
that's the case, then this is something I don't want to be
and
getting
that's the
into.
tricky part of it, because sometimes you're on your journey and you feel like, yeah, I'm not. I am my own circle. I'm fine and I'm fine and I'm fine. And then something happened and you realize, whoa, no, I still have so much to like. That's what I see in
Mm-hmm.
life so many times when I think, oh, I got it. No, you haven't got it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you got it to a certain level. Oh, you know what? That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to say. It's like you got it on level 5, whatever. And then you think you got it because so far what you witnessed in your life, so far the challenges that came,
Mm-hmm.
you overcame those. You're not facing them again. But then and now level 10 comes on your way. That you didn't even know that level 10 exists. You thought there is up to level 5 and then level 10 comes and you're like, oh fuck no, I haven't got anything yet. So also keeping humble, always think like,
Yes.
as you saying, like now I know who I am and everything. But no, still remind yourself all the time, I'm that circle, I'm that full circle. I'm like constantly
Mm-hmm.
learning, constantly learning, constantly learning. How
Yes. Yes.
constantly recheck yourself and to be willing to do mistakes. That's the thing. Like we will do mistakes.
Totally.
We will go again to rock bottom. Like
Yeah.
if we're
Yeah.
not willing to do that, like life has nothing to offer for us because we'll just not leave the house.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
I think. Oh, yeah. I don't know where that came from, but it came out of me.
No, it's so good, and I agree. And it is the humbleness is super important too,
Mm.
because like you don't want to let your ego take over. Like, yeah, I love myself, but I don't want to like walk around like with this higher, with my nose in the air or whatever, because I'm still I'm still a human. I'm still going to be making mistakes. I'm still going to trip over my feet when I walk, because it just happens all the time. Or you know knowing like I love myself even in those
That's what I
moments.
was about to say. That's the real self-love. Not that you love
Yeah.
yourself when you're all shiny and nice. When you love yourself because you know that you're gonna have your back. When you're gonna fall down,
Mm-hmm.
when your heart's gonna break again, when you're gonna fail, when everything is gonna collapse. That's the real self-love. That I got myself
Mm-hmm.
there, that I love myself there, that I'm here
Mm-hmm.
for myself in those moments. I actually
Mm-hmm.
think that when you don't have that self love, which is a term that by itself we can do a full podcast what it means, because people think self love is, oh, I'm the best. I don't think it's about that. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's about being really authentic and true to myself and feel comfortable in my own skin with that. That's it. And know that I'm going to provide myself whatever I need and not look outside for it. That's what it means to me. And
Snaps.
oh, I had a point. I had a point. Fuck.
Self
Self love,
love.
self love. What did I say?
We could we
Yo,
could do a whole podcast on
a
self
whole
love and what it
podcast.
means.
Oh. Oh,
People
it's
think
such a good
people
point.
think it's like
Before that, what I
ego.
say?
Um.
Yes. That actually a lack of self love, like a lack of self love, which means a lack of feeling comfortable in my own skin and everything I just mentioned before, will get me to be with my nose up in the sky and look at everyone from the top.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I'm gonna create such a strong attachment to when I'm feeling well that I will just try to preserve that as much as I can.
Yeah.
And because I don't love myself, so I have to stay there. And in order to stay there, I'm gonna need to look at people from above. And a million other things can happen with that. So I
Mhm.
actually think, because you said I don't want to fall into that trap of, looking at everyone from above. I actually think that because you love yourself, or at least you practicing as much as you can, and as we said, like life's gonna bring it, you're really helping yourself not to fall into that space.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Like you're
agree.
doing the best you can not to fall there. And we will
Yeah,
fall there, and it's fine. And to know that even when I fall there, it's
for
fine.
sure. Yeah, for sure. And I just like piggybacking off of that, I think a big thing that I had to overcome in this journey was feeling selfish and feeling like choosing myself all the time was super selfish. But in, I don't know, just as I keep doing it, as I keep having this boundary with other people and choosing what I really need and what really like lights me up and feels good, I feel like that's actually more selfless, because if everyone was living that way, if everyone was choosing what really felt good to them and feels good to them, but also, you know, ahimsa is no harm, no harm to themselves, no harm to others, then we would all be like, you know, kumbaya, living in this like peaceful world, because we're choosing ourselves. I'm choosing myself, you're choosing yourself, she's choosing herself, he's choosing himself. And by doing that, we're all collectively loving ourselves and therefore loving each other,
Mm.
because we are one. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a good sentence to wrap up. But I have more questions.
Mic
Nice.
drop.
Yeah. Tell me, what's your biggest dream?
My biggest dream is probably to just continue what I'm doing, which is teaching yoga all over the world and just spreading this light to people, and hopefully just continuing to inspire those who I come into contact with to choose themselves and love themselves and, yeah, do what's best for them. That's my biggest dream, I think.
Mm. And what's
Yeah.
the a message you can give for someone that hears us right now? And we spoke a lot about self-love and letting go of shame and, doing, like,
Mm-hmm.
recognize what's your purpose and doing and trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And they are saying, wow, I also want to live like that, but now I'm just, I don't know, I'm in a hard time and I'm not sure where to start. What would you say to them? What's the first step they can take?
Show yourself grace. Like, it's okay to not be in that place, and just know, just trust that that it's gonna be okay. Like, everything is going to be okay no matter what. And really, I think um an important step in the self-love journey is just to like hermit and to be by yourself
Yeah.
for a
Mm.
little bit. Like, not necessarily like be single, like be out of a relationship. If you're in a relationship or a partnership that's working, stay there, but to take time for yourself and to go and meditate or find the thing that lights you up. I think, yeah, that's it. Find the thing that
Mm.
lights you up.
Find the thing that lights you up.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, even if society doesn't approve that, and even if, yeah, just whatever,
Amen.
yeah, whatever you want to do, whatever makes you feel joy. Mm.
Mm-hmm. And really, when you make a decision, make it fully, because the universe knows if you're having doubts. And if you're letting doubts still be there, you know, things probably aren't gonna fall right into place. But if you go into it and you're like, okay, this is it, this is what I want, I know this is what I'm supposed to do, I trust, I trust, I trust. And even just saying those words, I trust, I trust, I trust, then the
Mm.
universe is like, all right, this girl, she's trusting. Like, let's give her some doors. Let's open some pathways. And yeah,
Mm.
words are a huge, 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 huge part of it. How you speak to yourself, how you speak to others. Um, Writing, like gratitude, a gratitude journal, life changing. Um, yeah, just words I think are a really big part of it for sure.
Beautiful. Wow. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there anything feels incomplete you want to share? Anything else?
I don't know. I think
I don't know. Yeah.
I think we covered a lot of bases.
What about like any workshops or retreats or something that you plan? Is there anything?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I'm in Maui right now in Hawaii. If anyone is in Hawaii, my dear friend Liza and I have been doing a co-creation sound healing yoga journey every week. That's been amazing. Wow, I love it so much. I have a retreat coming up in Colorado with my best friend, soulmate, partner. Oh, she's so good, Jamie Mondragon. We're doing our second retreat. We just finished one in Costa Rica last year that was incredible. And we're doing our second one in Colorado this year, August 16th to the 20th. And yeah, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be breath work, holotropic breath work, yoga, sound healing, mantra chanting, ecstatic dance, really, really good food. Our dear friend Carolina is a Peruvian fusion chef, and she's going to come and cook everything.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess my hope is to just keep offering retreats like that, because the healing that we saw in the last one was, I mean, yeah, talk about feeling in my purpose and our purpose. It felt like we really, really helped some people. And yeah, I just want to keep doing that. So.
Hmm. And maybe you're gonna go to New Zealand next summer,
Oh, yeah.
right? And we're gonna
Nudge,
teach you at
nudge.
festivals, right?
Yeah. So I'm moving to Australia in September, and I'm going to be teaching yoga there. So if anyone's in Australia. And then, yeah, I would really like to journey to New Zealand with my dear friend Yonatan and do some offerings along
All around.
all around
So
in
stay
all the
tuned,
corners of
guys.
the
Wait,
world.
wait for summer. Wait for summer and keep
Yeah.
Madeline, yeah, in your
That would be
mind.
so, that would be so, that will be so
Exactly.
epic and so
Exactly.
special.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably gonna happen. Yeah.
will be.
Wow.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so, so much for sharing so authentically and deeply. And you're really dear to me. And I'm feeling really inspired from that talk and to hear you saying and sharing about your journey. And to you guys, like every episode, if you liked everything we shared here, so please rate us, share the podcast, let everyone knows, get the love spreading over so everyone can also feel and be touched like you were touched just now. And as always, I really welcome you to say, speak up, say your voice if you were agreeing, if you were completely disagreeing, you think we're just saying fucking bullshit here, please, write it down. Like it's not for me to say like we have the knowledge and you guys don't. No, we really want to hear. We really want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So as always in the description there will be my details and I'm also gonna leave your details. You happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you can contact Madeline and see any courses or retreats or just say hi or whatever. Um, yeah, for all of you to have. And from here, we send you so much love and have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Thank you. Krit Ajna, so much gratitude. Oh!